everybody. I'm really happy and delighted to be here and to have been invited because more than I even realized when I accepted the invitation, because I'm learning lots of lessons to take back with me to Rochester, New York, and to New York State. So I'm finding the whole conversation and presentations really valuable and important, and is expanding my thinking around the work that is happening in New York State, which is what I'm here to share with. I was going to ask for a 3-minute warning, in part,
sure, yes.
well, as opposed to 2, because I wanted to show our latest video that we've produced, hearing that perhaps it's not going to work. So, but I'm sure I won't run out of things to say. So anyways, I'm here in many ways representing the New York State Community Equity Agenda. This is the New York State Coalition working to bring public banking to the state of New York, and which, since it's the seat of Wall Street, or the state in which Wall Street exists, it's quite the challenge, but we're up to the task. In the work that I've been doing at the state level to bring legislation to get passed to form a framework for us to have permit municipal public banking, along my credit union, along with many other organizations, and including members of our city council in Rochester, New York, formed together the Rochester Public Banking Coalition. So it wasn't kind of the local work that led to the state work initiative that led to our forming a Rochester initiative to try to talk about, explain, educate people about public banking. And alongside, there is also the Public Bank NYC. New York City has been moving, much like San Francisco, trying to even get their city council just to establish and permit by ordinance the establishment of a public bank, but they can also see and are working hard to have the state initiative passed in New York. I just want to share, this is our city. It's an urban location, and those of us who are involved with the Rochester Public Banking Coalition, I run day to day a financial institution, but I really see the public bank as critical and essential to expanding our work. Largely because our credit union, and really this is true for all credit unions, we have a public purpose of trying to serve our members. And what we really need more than what our little institution can offer. And we imagine and envision that a public bank could be a partner with us in providing additional financing mechanisms to help serve our members. This is just one of the, a slide that we use to try to say, as using municipal deposits that would establish and help capitalize the public bank, this is a way to help us get to renewable energy financing, permanently affordable housing, financing of worker co-ops, which is growing in the United States but can't grow because it's very hard to find financing for worker co-ops, for community land trusts, another model of affordable housing. Those are models that banks are or financial institutions are very risk averse to financing, and therefore we're just trying to say, if we have this mechanism for financing, this will broaden the ability for us to do projects where we would share risk. I was mindful of the concept of risk transfer. I know banks are risk averse, but for me as a banker, I'm trying to say what we're doing is we're sharing risk, equal sharing, not risk transfer, but share the risk equally. We found through the coalition building that we're doing, there's all kinds of other community needs, For some communities in rural parts of New York, as well as in some of the, the Bronx and New York City, they're really looking for fair. They don't have enough local initiatives that's not necessarily what we're going to do in Rochester, because we have community development financial institutions as an infrastructure within Rochester. But certainly I'm not opposed to the fact that in some cases public banks, the legislation in New York is going to permit for fair banking services. Some people are talking about postal banking as part of the New York State Banking Initiative. Key to all of this is, basically as organizers is the people, right? We're getting out. It's really about building connections between a whole bunch of people who we keep going to Albany trying to get this legislation passed. One of the things that happened was we have both a state assembly and Senate that now are controlled by the Democrats. So we're thinking, we're going to get this passed. 3 years, 4 years in, it's still not passed, in part because the key leadership in New York are not in favor of it. Lines their pockets, Wall Street. And so, but we know now we've built enough momentum in the state to be able to see that Wall Street's upset. Because public banks and the public banking initiative is strong enough and growing. The labor unions have been really key to helping us build the momentum that we need to pass the legislation and get more and more co-sponsors. When we started, we had 50 groups, 50 organizations. Then we grew to 100. We're past 150 organizations. It's getting smaller and smaller. You can hardly read. One of these, this is an example of one of the handouts that we're giving to legislators. And to say that people don't want, this is something that people really, really want. The people who elect you want you to vote in favor of this legislation. And we've gotten more and more champions as well as co-sponsors for the bill. But really the key is going to be the champions to carry the bill and get the bill passed. So this is the video. Okay. So, this is our news. We just launched this about a week ago. It's gonna work. It's 2 minutes. Do I need to do anything? I know. In part because what we've really found is education is the key. Because people will say, what's a public bank?
This is a dollar, the kind you and I contribute to our local and state government when we pay taxes. When we send these dollars to New York City, Rochester, they turn into public funds that help pay for services that keep our cities running. But on their way to turning into schools and subway cars, these dollars travel through a shadowy corridor, a place where our interests are not served, Wall Street. The funds we send to the government need to be held somewhere. The problem is Wall Street banks that hold public zero accountability to the very people who generated these funds, us. So what kinds of investments are Wall Street banks making? They're giving loans to predatory developers and landlords while denying them to Black and brown homeowners and small businesses. They're pumping money into fossil fuels and lobbying against renewable energy. And they're funding prisons and immigrant detention centers, fueling and profiting from mass incarceration. Let's not forget these are the same banks that crashed our economy in 2008 and reaped record profits during the pandemic while extracting billions of dollars in fees from struggling New Yorkers. Isn't there somewhere else we could put our public money? I'm so glad you asked. With a public bank, we can ensure that all of our public dollars work for the public good. Instead of lining private pockets, our money would build collective community wealth. A public bank would fund community land trusts, permanently affordable housing, and worker-owned businesses. It would invest in clean energy and a just transition in frontline communities. And it would partner with community credit unions and others to expand fair banking services and create living wage jobs. Hundreds of public banks exist around the world, including here in the U.S. with the century-old State Bank of North Dakota. It's time to bring public banking to New York. Let's put our dollars to work for our communities and build an economy that works for everyone. Join the movement. Check out these state and local coalitions to learn more and take action.